Afghanistan is certainly a country that is off the beaten path. The 38 million people that live in Afghanistan had to deal with occupation and civil war for the last few decades. The country seems very difficult to access, and recent events show that the Taliban is still an active part of the country. So it made me wonder, if I sent an AirTag there, what route would it take, and will I be able to pick it up? So my first challenge is finding a place to send my AirTag, since I don't know anybody in Afghanistan. I figured my best chances would be in Afghanistan's capital, Kabul. According to global stats, only 10% of the Afghans are using an iPhone. Picking up the AirTag here will be an interesting challenge. I browsed Google Maps and decided to try out some telephone numbers of shops that sell mobile phones in iMessage. If the number stays green, it means the message would be an SMS. If it turns blue, it would mean the owner of that number has an iPhone. After a bit of trying without any luck, I found a shop with a 5-star rating on Google named Surab Mobile. I tried the number and it turned blue. Great, this shop is using iPhones. And so I sent a message to introduce myself. Hi, this is Alex from Holland. Is this a cell phone store in Kabul? Yes. Maybe a strange question, but are you familiar with the Apple Airtag product? Apple Airtag is great for other countries. In Afghanistan, no one uses it. After a bit more chatting and explaining what I'm trying to do, he gave me a mailing address for the AirTag. This is where things get a little more complicated. In Afghanistan, regular mail is not very common, and where we use a street name and a house number in the Netherlands, in Afghanistan you say the phone shop next to the new Kabul bank. Also, you need to add a phone number, so maybe the post office can call you to pick up your mail. The next day I prepared an AirTag and cycled to the post office to mail out the envelope. I had some serious doubts if the AirTag would ever be delivered with this mailing address. Also, I was a little bit worried that maybe customs would seize the AirTag. I added the registered mail option so I could track not only the AirTag but also the letter itself. I figured worst case it would be returned to sender if they cannot deliver it. The start of the route was the same as always. After a couple of hours at the shop where I dropped off the AirTag, it started to move. I could see it taking the usual route to The Hague via the highway. Once it got to the International Mail Center in The Hague, the long wait would start. I have had AirTags here for up to 2 weeks. While the AirTag is in The Hague, I chat sometimes with Surab in Afghanistan. He writes me about the difficult security situation there. Security is nowhere. Everywhere is kidnapping. Killing a person is like drinking a glass of water. So I ask him, will it be safe for you to take pictures of the AirTag outside once you get it? I will take photos, don't worry. I promise you, once I promise, I will do that. Wow, he's doing all of this for a stranger he never met. After 11 days at The Hague we have movement. I picked it up in Belgium and a few hours later in France. I know where this AirTag is going. It's going to the Eurotunnel. It crossed the tunnel and made its way to London Heathrow. I was a little bit surprised because I expected it to go to Amsterdam and then fly with Turkish Airlines or Qatar Airways to Kabul. But okay, let's see what happens next. On July 29, it started to move, and the closest match with the last time I saw it in London was with a Turkish airline flight to Istanbul. And indeed, a few hours later I picked it up in Istanbul. I don't get it. Why was it first sent to London and then to Istanbul? We have plenty of flights from Amsterdam to Istanbul with Turkish Airlines, and I actually had AirTags on that specific flight from Amsterdam to Istanbul. So I don't know what made them decide to send it to London first. And so I could see the AirTag sitting at Istanbul's airport, sending me updates now and then. July 31st, moment of truth. It started to move again and I picked it up near a plane around the time the flight for Kabul was about to leave. And then, 5 hours later, my first update from Afghanistan. Yes, we made it! About 3 hours later I got my second update. It was near the airport at some building what looks like a warehouse. That same day I picked up the AirTag in downtown Kabul at the central post office. This is starting to look promising. While the AirTag is at the post office, I get updates of its location every hour or so it seems like somebody with an iPhone is working at the post office.
Multiple explosions have hit the Afghan capital Kabul.
News coming in, there's been a powerful car bomb explosion in the heart of Kabul.
For a car bomb and gun attack in a high security district in Kabul.
While the AirTag is at the post office, reality hits. In the morning I saw on TV how a bomb exploded in Kabul. Security is certainly an issue there. On August 3 I have a brief chat with Surab. I write him, I'm wondering what will happen next, if they will really call you or not. I also send him a picture of the envelope. He writes back, I will send somebody tomorrow with this photo and let's see what happens. Then on August 5 I get this photo. The AirTag has arrived. It took exactly 3 weeks. And Surab doesn't waste time. The next day he took the AirTag out and started to send me these photos. And so my attempt to send an AirTag to Afghanistan was more than successful. I got the help of Surab Mobile in Kabul, who went out of his way to take pictures of the AirTag for me. At the same time, the reality is that this was probably a one-way ticket for the little AirTag. Sending it back will be complicated and expensive. If you live in Kabul and have some cool idea what we could do with this AirTag, email me. I have a couple more AirTags traveling around the world. One is visiting all 50 states of America and is making good progress and is in Maine right now before it will travel to Washington, D.C. The AirTag that went to Tahiti just arrived in New Zealand, and the AirTag in South Africa spent 7 weeks at the airport and finally seems to be moving again. The AirTag traveling east is spending a lot of time at various post offices in Moscow and is awaiting delivery before moving on to India. If you live in one of America's 50 states or another interesting location in the world and you are willing to receive and forward an AirTag, please email me at airtagalex@gmail.com. You can see all the AirTags and their live updates on travelbyenvelope.com.